So welcome back to Crypto Mastery. First of all, Happy New Year. It's finally officially 2022. I think we've got an exciting year ahead of us in crypto. I'm looking forward to doing more videos to helping kind of you and the community find things early, getting on things early, understand where the good investments lie, and so on. So please, as we start this new year, please do hit that like, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, because there's going to be a lot more content coming up in 2022. So what I will say, as always, I'm not a financial advisor. I can't give you financial advice. All I can do is share my own research, share my own opinion, and bring stuff to you that I believe has that big potential moving forward. So today what I'd like to do is I'd like to look at another metaverse gem, something that is doing something in a space that no other kind of metaverse is doing currently. It's got a very strong set of backers who have a lot of industry experience in very successful companies. And it's a really strong concept. I do think it's got something that will really attract a good number of players. So today, what I wanted to take a look at is Syn City and the Mafia Metaverse. So let's take a look. Okay, so as always for these videos, the first thing I like to do is take a quick look at the websites of any of these potential opportunities, IDOs. Let's take a look and see what kind of information they're sharing on there. How well and how much effort do we feel have put into this website to attract kind of, consumers and attract people to want to engage with this platform and so on. So as we open it up, as you can see, the kind of style of the website is they've got this trailer, they've got these this promotional video around Syn City, the gameplay style, the characters, and so on. And basically, the main website itself is just kind of a bit of an overlay and that video playing in the background that shows some of the stuff in game, right? So some of the characters, some of the gameplay styles, some of the different modes that are kind of going to be available in this game moving forward. They do also indicate that they will have other stuff coming soon on this website, right? So as we see, you've got a little bit about the team, which you can go and see, but then they've got staking, which is coming soon, governance, which is coming soon, and then their marketplace, which is also coming soon, right? So from a website perspective, there's not much to Syn City, right? So you go down, it's basically this trailer with a bit of an overlay at the top, and then at the bottom, they've got a list of their partners, the people who have actually invested and partnered with them to move forward. And they have got an impressive partner list. So, the co-founder of Twitter, got some Go Capital people in there, founder of Terra, and so on. So they do have a very good partner and investor list who are backing this project, and quite substantially as well, right? So they've put a lot of money behind this, as they believe it's a really high potential metaverse or future crypto gaming project. So that's fantastic, right? It's good to see people who've had such success in industry before believing in a project like this, because with that that brings the social sentiment, that brings a little bit of the hype to it, and that will attract people to wanting to engage with this platform, but also wanting to invest in this platform. And if people want to invest in this platform, that's just going to drive the price up. It creates more kind of FOMO up front, which will drive the higher price as this launches. And if you're looking at this as an investment to maybe get in quickly, make a quick profit and exit out, then that could be good for you, right? Because you probably will have a lot of FOMO in this space. A lot of people will be buying. Maybe you'll be able to buy some and sell some really quickly to make a good profit. So as there's not a lot of detail on their website itself, what I wanted to do is to actually walk you through this offering on Polkastarter, right? Because I do like Polkastarter. They actually break down their projects in a very good way. They've got a lot of information on there. So it's good to use that to kind of share some of the information around this future potential kind of, IDO that I'm bringing you, so we can look at kind of, what's the problem they're trying to solve? What do they believe the solution is? Do we feel it's like truly unique as a problem to solve, or are other games trying to solve it? We can ask that question. And then we can really break down and figure out, how can you get involved in this? You can see I've already applied for this through Polkastarter itself. But I do know that this in particular is available on is going to be available on, I think, 4 different launch platforms currently. So I know we've got obviously Polkastarter, which you can see currently. I know that TrustPad is another one, and TrustPad is another one I'm a part of. So I'll be trying to get in on this IDO through TrustPad. Excuse me. The next one I think is Blokpad, which they added to their list as well. And then the fourth and final one I think is Seedify. So I think they're the 4. So you've got Polkastarter, TrustPad, Blokpad, and Seedify are the 4 current IDO launch pads for this, which launches in a few days. So it launches on the 7th. So be ready for that. If you are going into one of these platforms as well, I will just say that, make sure you look at the requirements, because if you're not a part of that platform currently, you will need to complete KYC. You probably will need to stake via, before X amount of days before it opens. A lot of the platforms have pre-registration, so a couple of days before or a day before. So just make sure you understand what's going to happen on the platform you want to invest in, and make sure that you're ready to kind of, to have everything lined up to invest when you need to. So on Polkastarter itself, as we take a look at this, they've got a few highlights around the game itself, and their highlights are broken down into 3 different areas. One is, this being the first ever Mafia Metaverse, which I touched on earlier. So, you can find, you can loot, you can build and govern through your own syndicate and so on. I do love that aspect. I love Mafia games. I love this style of game. It's going to be something that I definitely play and probably play a lot, because I think that style of gameplay is amazing, and I miss like some other really good Mafia games that were out years ago that are no longer around. So this, I think, will have a big following. A lot of people love this style of game, and this is one of the only games currently that is really doubling down on the Mafia kind of theme and metaverse. They're just touching on the fact that, Syn is the governance token for the metaverse and core to the Mafia as a DAO system. Users can stake Syn to generate votes to delegate to any syndicate leaders. A limited number of the highest voted leaders will be on the high table to govern the earning pools of the metaverse. So again, they're kind of keeping it in the Mafia feel. You almost imagine this as being like the 5 families type concept, right? So you've got like the big heads, the bosses of these syndicates kind of together and making the decisions on kind of, how the game will probably evolve in the future, but also how it'll be run currently. And then their third biggest piece that they want to touch on as highlights is, as I said before, the investors who are backing this, right? So $8 million invested by angels such as, Justin Khan, co-founder of Twitch, and then a bunch of other investors as well. And they've also got a strong set of partners backing this. So there's a number of different things that make this a very strong project for either short-term gains, if you want to go after, short-term gains of anywhere between, 20x to 100x to more, or you're looking at it as a long-term investment and you want to play this, you want to have the various tokens to be able to make decisions and get in on the game. This is one of the best ways to do this, because it'll cost you a lot more after launch. So the product itself is, be the boss and take control of turfs, business, loot, and raid other syndicates to expand your empire. So again, they're saying Syn City is the first ever Mafia Metaverse. Here you fight, loot, build, and lead. Here you join a syndicate to run a business, tax your underlings, God, it's one of those mornings, and pay tribute to your bosses through blockchain-backed assets. So again, it's if you ever watch Sopranos or anything like that, it's kind of like, you'll be out there, you'll be making money, you'll be making collections and stuff, but then it's also kicking some of that back up to your leadership as well. And so there's actually, there's a lot of good potential if you're a leader in this, because if you've got a good syndicate with good people, then, they're going to be kicking back to you based off their profits, which would be pretty cool. So yeah, displaying a stylized take on the degen and underworld. Syn City takes this concept a step further by making the game free to play, where you can play and earn. So again, this is free to play and play to earn. Would I say that's not a truly unique concept? I mean, a lot of games now are free to play and play to earn. That gap in the market was spotted, and now a lot of games are trying to fill that. But it's a good thing to have, right? So you don't have to have a lot of investment just to play this game, to get in and start to earn some of those rewards, and then start to build yourself up in that way. You strategize to build a ruthless empire backed by a gritty syndicate of peers, friends, and enemies alike. The Mafia will allow sinners, so again, sinners is what anyone who plays this game will call themselves, to grind their way up through daily missions, events, battles, trades, farms, and much more. They have got a quick trailer on here, so I mean, we could take a quick look at this. It's only 30 odd seconds. So they're saying, recruit your crew, and then they're basically showing you a few of the different crew members who will be available within the game. And this, you'll notice, is basically the same thing on the website, right? But they've used it as an overlay and a continuous loop in the background. So you can see some of the gameplay style, some of the end scenes. They're showing you some of the rewards. They're showing you the world map as well, right? So they're showing the fact that this will be spread across that global view, and you'll probably be able to travel and battle in kind of other cities and locations. So let's take a quick look at the problem statements. The essence of the problem statements is they're basically saying that the play-to-earn models that are used across a lot of games currently is kind of broken. What they're saying is that most of the blockchain game economy designs are not working. And they're basically saying it's not fair to ask users to pay over $1,000 before they can even enter and play the game, which I completely agree, right? If you want to attract players and you put in a barrier that stops them from playing kind of instantly, and they really have to, invest a lot of money even just to get into the game, that does create a big barrier, right? So, if we do look at things like, even Sandbox, now might not be the best example, but in order to get the most out of a game like that, you do have to have a lot of money, right? Because you're gonna want land, you're gonna want to build stuff. You're really gonna want to kind of have the full experience of the game. Now, to buy land there, it is just so expensive now. Now, obviously, that rewards the early adopters, because if you got in on this early, you will have got that land for relatively cheap, and you will have made a good investment, and it will be good to get in on that. But if you look at it now, it's so expensive. You're probably paying over £10,000 in order to get a small plot of land. So they do need to figure out, how can you still attract players by not creating big barriers. Here they're saying the result of this is that users tend to, earn back their initial cost. They withdraw and sell the assets immediately to recover the initial investments. And they're basically saying this is a death spiral. It's interesting because you're going to have you probably have a couple of different people who play those type of games as well. Like, you look at Sandbox, you can have the investor mindset, and that is they're going to be savvy enough to get in early, buy the land, sell the land at a certain price point to make the profit, but they're probably less interested in being a super avid game person, playing the game, building it up, building the economy and so on. Probably only to the point that it increases the value of their holdings, and then they'll release that holding and move on to something else. So they do need to look at a little bit of a shift in that kind of, setup and model for how these games are going to build out in the future. Take a look at the solution that the Syn City believe they've got to this. So what they're saying is Syn City is building a Mafia Metaverse with the following features. So it's free to play and earn. Anyone can come and engage. No ownership. or of NFT is needed. So you don't need an NFT. You don't need anything to play this game. You can just go in and play straight away. There's multiple revenue streams, so users would have multiple revenue streams by engaging from grinding through events, reallocating assets to generate returns, and lead your syndicate to earn like a mob through a mad system. So again, that's as we talked about earlier, is like if you've got a syndicate and if you're the boss and you're leading them and they're making rewards, and you've got those kickbacks, another revenue model in order to kind of, make some profit from these games as you play them. And then focus on the Mafia vertical, so making it easy for people to click and engage and easy to form a consensus. Like, we'll briefly touch on the business model. So be the leader you have always wanted to be by creating, taking charge, and leading a group of degenerate syndicate members. I love the fact that I've used degenerate there. Raid loot, lay out strategies, expand your crews, and collect tax. So the Mafia as a DAO MAD consists of leaders on the high table that manage the governance committee. Users are incentivized, and since City revenue is generated by the MAD system, so players stake the Syn to generate the power and delegate that to the syndicate leaders. There are unlimited syndicates with unlimited leaders, but only the top 7 leaders with the most power will be able to join the high table. So again, you're probably going to see like a lot of people want to engage with this to get themselves to that top spot, that top 7. So they're using that that FOMO piece to drive engagement here. So the more you engage, the more power you've got, the better your crew, the more chance you're going to be in one of those top 7 leaders, which sounds like the place to be. And then just touching on this and just saying that, syndicate leaders could offer benefits and assets, special events, and many others to members of their syndicates to recruit, engage, and loyalty. Syndicate leaders can tax their members for benefits offered. The Syn City then platform charges, that's not a very well written sentence, charges a tax to the syndicates, out of which a portion goes to the overall community as a universal basic income. The rest goes to the developers. Excuse me. So they're really breaking down that, how the revenue and the economy will flow through, how it will be split between going back into the community versus funding developers for future enhancements and so on. And also what the syndicate leaders can do in order to bring some of that profit through in terms of taxes and so on. Quick look at the market. So, this is the crypto era, and everyone should have an equal right to be able to play and earn. In the Mafia Metaverse, it should be free to earn. So again, they're just touching back on the problem they believe they're solving here, which is to basically cut through the noise of having to have a lot of money in order to start playing some of these play-to-earn games. And that's the market they want to tap into. People who want to get in and start playing these games and earning kind of rewards, but maybe haven't got the initial upfront capital in order to do so. So investors were touched on before. They've got a very strong set of investors, from places like Twitch, Dragonfly, Terra, CoinMarketCap, Illuvium. There's a number of people involved in this that makes this an exciting project that also, I think, drives that FOMO, drives the engagement when we start to see this IDO relaunched on the four platforms mentioned. That's why I'm bringing this. You don't want to miss out on this, because if you want to get a short-term spike and return, this is great. If long-term, with that type of backing, it's got huge potential as well. Finally, they share their team. So, you look at their team. They've got their co-founder, who's the former kind of head of business and marketing for Tron for the last 4 years, early member of PopCat Game back in 2006. I'm focused on the product of several award-winning game titles like Plants vs Zombies, Bejeweled, and so on. And then the co-founder, again, another co-founder, is a VP, or was a former VP at Samsung Electronics America, founder and general manager of EA Romania. So, I mean, what's great here is they've got a very good kind of leadership team of people who've worked in the gaming space. They've got experience, they know what works, they know what attracts players, they know what type of gameplay to deliver people to get them engaged and so on. So that's like very promising for this as well. The last piece really is the kind of the token utility itself. So what can you use the actual token for? So Syn is the governance token for the metaverse and core to the Mafia as a DAO system. So you can stake it. So again, something we see in a lot of platforms. So not surprised there. So you stake to generate power, and as we said, you can delegate that power to your leader and so on. You can stake Syn to earn additional yield. So again, you can stake it and then you'll get a yield back of it. It's like not something truly unique. We see that in a lot of systems as well. And Syn is also utilized by the staking to earn kind of, which is used to purchase in-game assets on the marketplace with a discount, right? So you can use it again to buy assets to get upgrades and so on within the marketplace that will be released. So if we take a quick look at the kind of, the social kind of following behind Syn City, we'll look at Twitter as we usually do. We can see that at the moment they've got around 112,000 followers, which is really good, right? And I think I'm not surprised at that because, they're launching on things like Polkastarter and TrustPad, as well as Blokpad and Seedify. So with them launching on those platforms, each one of those platforms will be sharing this on their social channels, which will drive further engagement. So I only expect this to get kind of, bigger and bigger and bigger as we move forward. It's also, we're seeing more and more kind of reviews coming out for this, and people and the hype and the FOMO building around this kind of game moving forward. So I'd expect that following to increase quite dramatically as we get closer to that kind of launch coming up, which is, I believe, on the 7th of January. So finally, before we close out, where will I be investing in this kind of IDO? Well, as I said before, this is launching on 4 platforms. I'll be trying to get in on this through 2 platforms. So one is Polkastarter. As you can see, I've already applied to join this through Polkastarter. And the second one is TrustPad, which is another one I'll be applying to kind of get in on this IDO through. Now, at the moment, obviously, the registration isn't open through TrustPad at the moment. We can see that currently it's saying the sale date will be on the 7th. So I'd really expect registrations are probably open maybe like on the 6th at some point. It's usually about 24 hours before. So just keep your eye on that. The sale date's the 7th. The registration will open up probably fairly soon over the next couple of days. So I'll be going in pretty much every day to check to see when this registration's open, because I do not want to miss this one. And then I'll be getting in through both of those platforms. What I will do is I will share in the description down below the various kind of platforms you can engage through, and some information around what you might need in order to get in on these platforms through the launch pads, right? Because each of them have different requirements, different tiers, and if you want a guaranteed versus a lottery, it can be different with each. So thanks for watching, and there you have it. That is my breakdown of Syn City. Again, I guess my leaving points here are the reason I believe this is a good investment is the Mafia kind of gameplay style and games are usually huge and have a huge following. Even games that were out years and years ago that have not very great graphics still have huge followings because of the Mafia concept. So bringing this into the metaverse is huge. I think the investors and the kind of partners they've got for this game are great, right? So they've got some very strong partners, some very good investors who believe in this game. The third piece is they've got a strong team, so their co-founders and the rest of the team have good gaming and BlockFi experience, so that's got huge potential. And they are pushing around that problem statement, right? They're pushing to get a part of a market that probably doesn't have as much kind of captured at the moment in terms of giving people an instant entry into play to earn rather than having to have capital up front. So I think that could be a huge driver to getting people on this platform, using this platform, kind of generating revenue through this platform and so on. So I love this. I love this. I think it would be a good short-term investment. So from an investment perspective, I guess my probably prediction for this one, looking at how some of the other ones have gone that I've recently looked at, I would say that this could at launch go anywhere from, I guess, 25x to 100x in the short term. So you'll probably see that spike as it starts to get launched on the dexes and so on. And then longer term, I do think it has that 100x potential, right? I think it's got a strong concept, strong backing, good idea. I think as long as they hit their roadmap, they deliver what the community need, and they kind of attract people to the platform and make a strong, playable game moving forward that earns people revenue. There's huge potential here. So I think short term investment anywhere from 25 to 100x. Long term, I do think this is one of those 100x gems as we start to look back this time next year, and we can really see kind of where this has gone. So again, thanks for watching. Have a good day, and yeah, keep your eye out for the next video. Bye.